Hello and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Criterion, where we take a look at Andrew Haig's film All of Us Strangers, coming to the collection on 4K UHD. Andrew Haigh is a British director whose debut film, Weekend, told the story of a one-night stand that develops between two men over the course of a single weekend in Nottingham in England. It was well received in LGBTQ circles, and of course he directed 45 Years, starring Charlotte Rampling and Tom Courtenay as an elderly couple. He also brought us Lean on Pete from 2017 and the HBO series Looking, which is about a group of gay friends and their relationships set in San Francisco. More recently, he has made The North Water, airing on BBC Two in the UK in 2021. Andrew specialises in LGBTQ material, and his latest work is the intimate All of Us Strangers. Based on the 1987 novel by Tachi Yamada, it stars Andrew Scott as Adam, a writer who lives alone in a London flat, and he meets a man called Harry in a chance encounter in the elevator, and forms a transient relationship with him. That brief synopsis, with a little plot spoiler of course, is only really touching the tip of the iceberg within this work. Andrew, over his directing career, has striven to make gay relationships transfer effectively to the screen, and he often touches on intimacy to do this and tight casting. It was a definite effort by him to cast a gay actor, hence him choosing Andrew Scott in the lead role. He admits this is a very personal film for him and not necessarily autobiographical, but relating in part to his own personal life. The production was filmed on location at Andrew's childhood home in Brighton and on a set realising the high-rise urban apartment that Adam resided in. The themes are dealing with trauma, grief and loneliness, and affection of course for another person. But there is much more to be found under the surface of this narrative. The film takes its time as well to establish the nuances and the tiny details revealed through characters' behaviour in what gives it that grounding in reality, and while of course at the same time you feel slightly off kilter, which is impressive. Paul Mescal is cast as Adam's neighbour Harry, who is a lonely man and rejected by his family and struggling with mental health, clearly reaching out for someone. The other characters are played by Claire Foy and Jamie Bell. They're Adam's parents. They were both killed when he was a teenager, and the film progresses. He goes back to his childhood home and he meets them still in the past, and they become conversant with what he's become and achieved as a man. Now, this film touches you on a very emotional level, and you can identify with what it is to try and come to terms with trauma and grief, and things never said to parents because the opportunity never had presented itself. Now, of course, I can't give too much away here, as it would be unfair, but it's hard not to come away from watching this film without a lot of soul searching, and indeed comparing it to your own life and the decisions and choices you have made. Now, the two central performances are gentle but intensely intimate, something that Andrew Haigh has achieved earlier in his career with Weekend. The subtle nuances displayed in the performances by Scott and Mescal are certainly acting masterclasses, and the verisimilitude from Claire Foy and Jamie Bell as the parents are also to be admired, as their characters are purely there to help their son Adam move on. The original story was a ghost story, and Haigh wanted to explore the complexities of both familial and romantic love, but also the distinct experience of a specific generation of gay people growing up in the 80s with risk of AIDS and societal pressures. He wanted to move away from the traditional ghost story in the novel and find something more psychological and indeed metaphysical. Now, on an initial viewing, it's the picture's wrenching emotional impact that strikes you most emphatically. But on subsequent viewings of the film, you start to fully appreciate the immaculate craft of the picture itself. The way, for instance, that the score written by Emilie Livianez-Farouche harmonises with and complements the intricate use of sound, the skill of Jonathan Albert's fluid editing that with the lightest of touches guides us between parallel timelines and a cityscape that throngs with coexisting moments from Adam's life. It's a remarkable achievement, and it's a raw and potent piece of storytelling that grabs you by the heart and doesn't let go. The song, of course, that stands out is Always on My Mind, sung by the Pet Shop Boys, softly by Foy to Scott as they decorated the Christmas tree one final time. And I felt aghast as Foy's ghost whispered while she was weeping, "I'm so happy that you were mine. You were always on my mind," to her grown son, sitting childlike in front of her. All of Us Strangers won 7 awards at the 2023 British Independent Film Awards, including Best Director and Best Screenplay. It was nominated for awards at both the Oscars and BAFTAs, but didn't take any of the major awards. The film's produced by Fox Searchlight, and although this isn't the first physical media release of one of their films, it is, however, the first of their films to see a physical media release by Criterion specifically. And this bodes well for other Fox Searchlight films like The Banshees of Inisherin and, of course, Poor Things, which we might see appearing in the collection in the not-too-distant future. Now, this release got a UK Blu-ray only a few months ago, but now the US release comes to the Criterion collection as a 4K UHD combo with the following features: a 4K digital master with 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio and uncompressed stereo soundtracks, one 4K UHD disc of the film presented in Dolby Vision HDR, and one Blu-ray with the film and the special features. New conversation between director Andrew Haigh and author and critic Michael Koreski. New interview with cinematographer Jamie D. Ramsey. Behind the scenes documentary and featurettes. Trailer and an essay written by critic Guy Lodge. And the cover art has been designed by Anthony Giras. Putting a deeply personal imprint on a novel written by the Japanese writer Tachi Yamada, Andrew Haigh reaches cosmic heights while never losing sight of the story's achingly human heart. All of Us Strangers has a running time of 105 minutes, and it comes in a 2:3:5:1 aspect ratio and releases on Tuesday, the 10th of September, as Spine 1234. In the next edition, we'll be looking at the latest Janus contemporary release, and that's the internationally acclaimed film from Mexican director Lila Avilés, Totem. So until then, from me, as always, it's goodbye, and above all, good Criterion viewing.